Welcome back, guys. Cool. So I'm going to be obviously focusing, as I said, on front end scaffolding now. So I'm going to copy that command. Go in here. Oh, sorry. One thing before I begin. Continue. Oh, begin. Um, I there might be a little bit more stuff we need to configure on the back end. I think the image, there's something we actually need to do to configure that properly, but I'm not going to prioritize that. I'm just going to focus on just going to leave the back end stuff what I did as is. Just going to do so it's a bit more of a crude back end thing we did. We can fill in the gaps later. Similarly with the front end, I'm gonna, I guess, do a crude thing here. Okay, so yeah, pasting in that. So it's QLUIM. So quick lists UI means front end and then M models. So yeah, this will create our front end models. They are VueXORM models. Um, and what else? It's also going to generate the file that registers the models. What else? I think that's it. Okay, let's go ahead. Oh yes, and it's going to create them in this folder, but we're going to move them to our front end repo. It's going to put them in store and models. Yeah, I was thinking about the microphone I'm using. I have another microphone, which maybe sounds a little bit less, I don't know, maybe better in some ways. But the reason I prefer this microphone is the other microphone like makes my voice sound too sharp, and I personally don't like that kind of sound. So I'm going with this microphone, which sounds kind of worse quality, but is like easier on the ears. But sure, I have no clue how people are going to respond to this audio quality. Maybe I need to get an entirely new mic, but it is better than the two mics I have already. But I'm gonna, this is an indie project, so it's not like a huge priority. Copying those models that have been generated, moving over to my front end. I'm going to close some of the projects here. Pasting. There's actually something I may be missing here. I think there was a folder in here called lists. Let's make sure that that's available from the boilerplate. So we don't see it. Models. Oh, I call it RM API. It's key. Make a note now to make sure that stays RM dash API. Paste in here, because this is also where the registration document expects to find them. I'm going to delete the 4 non-relevant ones. Then we can have a look at those in a sec, but before we do, I'm going to open the store index. Uh, to this store index. Okay, so something's going on in my performance. Okay, password migrations, personal, not needed. Shit, performance is taking a hit. So I'm just going to copy those ones and then paste those here. And then I'm going to close this guy because that's probably, I can save a bit of RAM. Then I'm going to hover over each one and import them. Then that's then registered. So let's have a look at our front end. Oh, there's other things in here. Our about page, our main layout helper. Those. Cool. Let's have a look at these. Okay, so this was what we pasted in that file to register them. And then these guys, okay, we got the user. I think we got the user already. So I actually don't think we need this one. Yeah, so we've got a user one here already. So we actually don't need both. Uh, but let's copy this one and override it just to see what the difference is. And then we'll know what exactly we are. Well, basically we're going to merge them because there's some stuff we need from each one. Product. I think it's just these two that we're keeping. The rest we're not. Because the rest we need to keep what was already there. So to user, we're just going to add these relationships. But I'll talk more about relationships now. Okay, so starting with brand, I guess. Yeah, so here's a Vuex model. I've got some additional definitions or attributes or properties and everything and methods in these that you're not just going to find in Vuex. Oh, no. Yeah, so obviously more WYSIWeb related definitions like entity, human name, title key, field metadata, rules. Let me tell you a bit about rules. So rules is basically just like when someone reads as a list, reads as a single item, or edits or creates, they need to meet a certain criteria maybe. But for now, I just have true for each. But otherwise, we can uh, put methods in here that like do logic, like say, for instance, the item, the item, um, the item creator is so you like say you can only edit it if the item creator is equal to the currently logged in user ID or something. So yeah, that kind of thing. So that's the kind of like security that obviously you need on a web application. But obviously this is just kind of the front end layer of that security, which is just like, oh no, you can't do it. But like obviously if you go to the back end, it's like you do it. It's like, okay, you can do it. So that's why you have the front end layer and the back end layer. The front end layer is like telling you, don't even try. The back end layer is obviously just like, look, I told you not to try. Now I'm telling you that you can't do it. What is this? Pretty complete. Something about hooks. I think I made this recently, so I forgot what it does, but I'm sure it does something good. Field metadata. That we'll talk about a bit when it comes to images. Okay, fields, this is a normal VXRM thing. So this is where we have the fields and the relationships. And then there's a bunch of methods, which is basically just creating the endpoints that we have in the database. Someone banging who made this. So yeah, as you can see in products, there's also relationships. Right? This is metadata, linkables. Yeah, so there's also something called linkables rule in the metadata, which is like you can only link you can only link to something under these circumstances. So like say you can't link to an entity that isn't yours, something like that. You can define what the rules are for that. Yeah. Okay, then here's the relationships it belongs to. Anyway, so I think you guys get the gist. I'm gonna go ahead and commit this. I think there's no problem with all that. And then I'm gonna move on to our last command here. Okay, so now where's that in that? Open that. Okay, so now we've generated our controllers, our views, our routes, and our menu. So let's start with controllers. So each of these contains two files, the list and read controller. So let me just select everything and unselect the things I don't want. I think users we already have. I can't remember. Okay, so copy that. Genders is also written red here. I have to correct that. So I copied that. Go to my controllers here. Go into my lists. Oh, I see we already have users. If I should change it or leave it, I'll leave it. The next use and select the ones that one. Thing. So put on. Okay, so I think our user views, we're gonna undo those actually. So we don't actually want to overwrite that. Similarly with our controllers, we want to show everything else is good. Go ahead and commit. Okay, next thing is our routes. So I just left my cursor thing there. Scrolling down. I'm not going to copy users. That's right at the bottom, and I'm pretty sure I don't need that. Let's copy that. Go to here. Wait, I'm confused. Oh, sorry. And then go here. As you can see, our user's already in there. Add a comma there. Paste that in. Then we're going to delete these two. So we're going to delete these two. So these two. John this not fixing. So I'm just going to check if we fix the roots, this root, this root for user, for genders, then we're going to have to fix that on the front end as well. But I'm going to do a find and replace. So let me get everything and then I'll do find and replace. So, sorry, actually, before I rush on. So if you look Actually, no, I'm gonna move on and then we can come back and have a look again. Okay, so going back to the generated files, go to menu view. So you can see there's a whole bunch of stuff here in the template, but actually we're just ignoring that. Come to the computed links, put your cursor there, and then we're gonna copy till there, then go to front end, and mm, name, no, here. So we don't need, okay, everything's copied in. Just going to do a global search and replace for genders dash, and then replace it with that. And then we're getting an error for that. We'll change this. Do I let's go away? Okay, I'm just going to terminate that and can run down and start again. Anyway, while that's going, we can check in a second. Let's look at what we've done. Okay, so we've renamed that folder. Uh, we've done a lot of global search and replacing there, and here as well. Um, okay, so we go to our main layout. So these items we've added now, that's going to show in our top menu. Maybe we can fix that actually. Obviously, if we don't want any of these to show, we can just comment them out, but I think for now we'll just show them all. Roots. Okay, so roots, we've got something in the meta for each root, which is breadcrumbs. So that helps the breadcrumb system that I've built, which is part of the boilerplate. So yeah, there's that. And then so there's two routes for each entity, one for showing and one for listing. This one lists, this one shows a single one. Right. Um, so I'm gonna commit this in two parts. First, I'm gonna commit that stuff, and then commit this stuff. And then I'm gonna see if there's any errors. Zero errors, great. Oh, we do have an error. Sorry, uh, failed to resolve this component. Oh, okay, I get it. Because obviously it thinks. Okay, so I'm going to go back to front end. I'm just going to do a global change for this because obviously our user is not in the place it predicted. Oh, it's only one place. It's actually there. There you go. So as I said, they appear now at the top here. Just going to have that open. So we're logged in. We can now navigate to brands, categories, genders, and products. So let me go to brands. So it's loading. So it means it's hitting the backend endpoint. Correct endpoint. Just takes a while because I think locally things take longer. maybe it's just my resources on my local, but yeah, when it's deployed onto a server, things are generally not faster. Okay, so it's loaded and it's got none, which is correct because there's no records in that database. So we want to create a new brand like Adidas. Hit save. ID is required. That's good. Maybe that's something I also need to deal with um, in the scaffolding. Oh yes, Adidas. Yeah, because obviously the ID is required, but it's auto-generated, so technically it's not required. So I just need to handle for that case. And not and not add not and add nullable to it in the scaffolding. But now we're just going to add it manually because I still need to add the scaffolding. Us save. It's doing better. There you go. So yeah, here is the listing ability. You can also use it, view it by grid. This template or whatever here, the way we're displaying it can also actually be configured to your liking. I might not cover that yet. Maybe like stage 2 of the course or something. We also have map here. So map here is actually not relevant. This map functionality is only relevant to tables that have like latitude and longitude coordinates and stuff, which I might get to, as I say, as well in like stage 2 of the course. Um, but having it actually showing here is obviously not kind of the behavior we want because map isn't relevant to brands. So um, I'm gonna actually figure out. I'm actually gonna just make sure that it only shows in relevant saved cases. So you might not see this, but I'll figure that out soon. Um, yeah. So there you go. Similar with categories. So let's add a category. Well, let's wait for this load none. Okay. So t-shirts. So obviously, like the the normal users aren't going to be editing brands and categories. They're going to be using pre-existing brands and categories. But so the kind of person who would be able to add these things is is more like the sites not the content creators, like the site managers, basically. So maybe me, developer. Um, so maybe this can be disabled for people who don't meet criteria or something like that. Anyway, that can be figured out later. T-shirts, okay, genders. Oh, we got a problem with gender. Example. So it thinks that the view doesn't exist. Oh, running errors with that. Genders. Okay, then so if you're like filtering for clothing, you'll look at like you'll be selecting like gender, male, female, I guess. So let's call it male. Cool. So we've created all those. So now we can create a product. And as you can see, there's automatically these filters at the top. These two filters we should actually hide, but we'll leave them now. Okay, so name. Um, just description, just, well, let's leave that empty. So let's see actually what errors it gives. Okay, so it wants all that information. Okay, so some of this information is not going to be available. Seller can be required. Buyer shouldn't be required. Not required. Buyer. What else? Buyer is not required. Purchase date's not required. This purchase dates might only come later. Purchase dates is not required. Everything else is fine. Okay, so the price would be 10 rand dollars or whatever. Purchase date, obviously. Okay, so this is actually an example of a date. So I'll need to show you how that works. Rand. Okay, so when we hit the drop down, now it's looking for the brands in the database. It's taking a while there, but I think it's just because, as I say, on local things seem to take a bit of time. Hopefully there's no error. Here you go. Okay, cool. So here's a good example of where the title field comes in, which I'll show you. So it's showing one because it's using the ID as the title field. So let's change that. The name will be used as the title field, title key for all of these. I think they all have a name. And, so now, if we open drop down for brands, we can see Adidas, send the gender, male, send the category, t-shirts. It's 10. Okay, so we're going to have a problem. Also, the sellers we can add. Obviously, we want the seller to be automatically populated, which I'll get to that at some point. The buyer obviously shouldn't be required. Um, okay, so I have given everything required, but if I hit save, it's probably going to give a backend error. Oh, sorry, it's giving an error there. So if I do put something there and then hit save, it's going to give a backend error. It's going to say unexpected invalid date format. So um, I don't know if I should cover that now or not. The gut's telling me no. So let's go just copy a date, I guess. Where's the date? User date. I'm just going to copy that because that's the format it needs. One. There we go. So we can also see this as grid. Then filter by Adidas. Obviously, there's only one item. We can search for tests. We can search for something that is not written here, like and so this is searching the title key. So the same way that the title key defines what value to show in the dropdowns, it also defines what key we're searching in, which is fairly intuitive. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, this lecture's gone pretty long anyway, so there's been a lot discussed. So I think the stuff like the stuff we'll cover maybe next, stuff we'll cover next will be images, dates, um, autofill, autofills, maybe hiding filters. Anything else that I saw around here? I mean, I also spoke about like only specific roles of users able to add brands. I don't have roles currently in the system. Obviously, I can add roles. Um, but actually, what I could do is I could just disable this for everyone, and then the content, or not the content creators, the people who add the brands, just do it directly through the database. I mean, it's not terrible. Um, yeah, so since it's not terrible, that's fine for now. I was thinking about introducing roles, but that might just be too much, uh, too overkill, because this is quite an MVP kind of solution I'm going for at the moment. Yeah. So okay, so I think we're gonna do some front end. I mean, the image has also got some back end stuff involved. So I think our next lecture is gonna be like um more refining. Um yeah, because I mean we've covered scaffolding. Now the next bit will be like mm, fine tuning is probably the word I'm looking for. So yeah, the next thing will be fine tuning. Um, And then, as I said, I think also this lecture, we will at some point cover security. Um, what else did I say we'd cover in the later lecture? Did I say? Oh, I'm so tired. I'm drawing blanks. I guess I'll just have to watch the video to see what I said. But okay, okay, so security. Um, I mean, security you could consider as a type of fine tuning, but maybe let's call it something. You got setup, you got scaffolding, and then you got developing. Okay, so maybe we'll just call it developing. So then the next lecture we'll call developing. Um, something something. I'll come up with the exact title. But yes, in the next lecture we'll cover developing, where we'll look at images, dates, autofills, hiding filters, um, and then after that we're going to actually be covering deploying, and then after that um, we will get to stage 2 of the course. Sorry, I've got to take this call. Cheers.